Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the third episode of the Ryan Seefeld Show. A lot of big news this week. A lot of cultural news, not so much happenings on the world stage. First, we got to throw it to the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle jean commercial. Have you seen this? Sydney Sweeney, of course, absolute gorgeous woman in an American Eagle commercial, talking about how she has good genes, and people are freaking out saying it's Nazi propaganda because she's blonde and has blue eyes. Now, I remember a time back in the early 2000s when we were going to war with countries in the Middle East indiscriminately and with no reason at all. Back when we were a proper country, when we would just invade Iraq for the hell of it, back when things were really good, that a nice pair of tits would like bring America together. We've lost that. It's now tearing us apart. A nice pair of jugs, which Sydney Sweeney does have, used to bring men on the right and the left together, and we would see this on TV back in the good old days when things were civilized. We would see a nice pair of jugs in a commercial, and our brains would turn off. You would stare at this gorgeous woman on your TV screen, and maybe some drool would come out of your mouth, and you'd be like, oh, boobies, boobies. Now, people call it fascism. It's the perfect metaphor for just the absolute degradation of American society. We used to be a proper country. We used to be a country where tits and ass would unite us. Now they tear us apart. That should scare you. That horrifies me. I want to live in a country where fucking boobs bring guys together, not tear us apart. Boobs are supposed to be like that scene at the end of a Disney movie where everybody comes together and celebrates a victory. We gotta see titties. On national TV, there's titties. That is what an ad like this should do for America. But instead, people are fighting over whether it's a Nazi. Why can a gorgeous woman not say she has good genes because she's fucking sexy? She doesn't have good genes because she's blonde and has blue eyes. She has good genes because she's fucking sexy. And a lot of guys want to stick it to her. I'm just being candid. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I'm not going to lie. I've thought about sticking it to her. Who hasn't? She's a gorgeous lady. I can't believe that we are arguing over whether or not a sexy woman in a commercial is fascist. Boobs and ass built this country. You know why we rebelled against the British? It wasn't for freedom. It was so the hoes would think we were fucking renegades. So they would think we were sick. That's why we did it. We stood up to the British Empire to get play. Hello? We stood up so we could get some serious fucking play. They had the red coats. Like, they had all the drip. They had all the aura. But we won. So now we have all that aura. And now we're getting the play. That's why we did it. We did it for play. We did it. We rebelled against the British for tits and ass. We beat the Germans so we could come home as war heroes and get tits and ass. And now it's tearing us apart. The problem is tits and ass is too easy to come by. You can just go load up Pornhub and see it. We need to get rid of Pornhub so you have to work for it again. So men have to go out and create great things to get tits and ass. That's the very idea this country was founded on. Is how can I stack this bread? How much money can I make to the point where there's no choice but I get some tits and ass? You see all the dudes on Wall Street? You ever watch The Wolf of Wall Street? They're snorting fucking cocaine off hookers' titties. You think Jordan Belfort made money for any other reason than tits and ass? He made money for tits and ass until he could stick it to Margaret Robbie. Okay? And there's honor in that. That's a good life. That's a good country to live in. A bad country to live in is where tits and ass is tearing us apart. Tits and ass needs to be a unifying force for men across the country. Black men, white men, Asian men, Native American men, Muslim men. We can all unite, we can all rally around tits and ass. And that's what this ad is. She's got a great rack. She has good genes because she's hot. That is the message that needs to be more mainstream in America. This would unite, this could solve the Israeli-Palestine conflict. If they just had models walking around half naked with signs that said, "Peace is for players," they would stop fighting because they want to get tits and ass. Pussy is the greatest motivator for a man, if I'm just being completely candid. Tits and ass can solve a lot. It could solve Ukraine, Russia. They walked out some tall, blonde Russian Barbie. I bet you they'd stop fighting. They'd all stare and gawk at her. If she walked around the battlefield and said, "Stop fighting, boys. Stop fighting." They'd stop fighting. I'd stop fighting. Why? How have we reached this point in society where tits and ass now tear us apart? It's a serious cultural problem. This is a bigger problem than this country has ever faced. Tits and ass dividing us. It's tearing at the very fabric of reality in America. It's un-American. I'm young enough to remember when Kate Upton was the it girl. And you know what? Everybody was united that Kate Upton was hot. Every single person in America, every man, every red-blooded man, from the blackest black guy to the whitest Irishman, was saying, "She's fucking hot." And they would stop walking down the street and stare at her tits when she was on a billboard. That's what America needs to get back to, tits and ass. We need supermodels that will bridge this divide, this political chasm that now exists in America. If we just had if we had Megan Fox coming out and saying, "It's okay to be Republican and Democrat, you guys can still be friends," we'd be friends. That's the point we need to get back to in America, where tits and ass is a uniting force. It's quite possibly the greatest uniting force. Women have power. A lot of these red pill guys don't realize that. Women have so much power. You look at what happened. Troy got wiped off the face of the planet because of Helena, because he stole another man's girl. Women have the power to unite and divide. And we need to just use them as a uniting force through the medium of supermodels. We need tits and ass bringing us together. We need to, as guys from all walks of life, whether you're immigrant, maybe you're Hispanic, maybe you spent some time in Alligator Alcatraz. You can become American again if you just like tits and ass. We'll accept you. We'll give you a green card if you just admit you like tits and ass and that Sydney Sweeney is hot. I think Donald Trump should reach out to me. I think we should have a new immigration policy. If you like tits and ass, you stay. If you don't like tits and ass, you're gone. You're gone. If you don't think Sydney Sweeney is hot, and by extension has great genes, because of course somebody who is hot has great genes, hello, then you can stay. But if you think she's a Nazi, you're gone. We're kicking you out. Let's not lose the plot here, people. As men, we are put on this planet to look at tits and ass. And Sydney Sweeney, I'll say it again, has a great rack. That's what I'm here for. I enjoyed the ad. I watched it a couple hundred times. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I might watch it right again after this show. Might go lay in bed, watch it a couple times. Who knows? The fate is in the hands of the gods. Next story is from the White House. Donald Trump is reinstituting the presidential fitness exam. If you don't know what that is, that's the exam that you have to run a mile under a certain amount of time, test your flexibility, test how many pull-ups you can do, how many push-ups. And Obama previously removed it in favor of a more individualized approach to fitness. And coincidence, we are now the fattest country in the world. Something has to be done about these fat people running amok. They're influencers now. They're Disney influencers. Fat people. Morbidly obese people. Not just kind of fat. Morbidly obese people. Spilling over their seats on airplanes. Talking about airplane seats need to be more accommodating. These people, we need to whip these people into shape. We should take... These are the people that should have been sent to Alligator Alcatraz. Fat people. They should have been starved there. How many resources does it take to get that fat? How much do you have to not move and contribute nothing to get that fat? The presidential fitness plan, RFK, when RFK got elected, I thought he was just going to kill them in the streets. I thought there was going to be a fat holocaust. And I'm kind of disappointed there's not. RFK should be rounding these people up and herding them into slaughterhouses like they're cattle. These people are disgusting to look at. Spilling over everywhere, talking about body positivity. And by the way, these same fat people are the ones hating on Sydney Sweeney, calling her a Nazi. Saying, yeah, I'm so happy in my fat body. I'll never be a Nazi. No matter how bad things get, I'm proud I'll never be a Nazi. You'll never have the chance. You're going to die. You're going to be dead in 90 days from heart disease. You do not have the right to be morbidly obese. Actually, you do have the right. But come on, what are we doing? You were not put on this earth to simply just enjoy the pleasures of food. And by the way, I say this, I can make fun of fat people, and I can go on rants against fat people, because I used to be fat. I was 330 pounds when I graduated high school, okay? And I'll tell you what, it sucked. It sucks to be fat. It's not good. I hated being fat. Okay? I hated it. I mean, I'm not gross. I'm not overweight and gross anymore. Thank God. But there's a reason why all our actors are skinny. Because that's what you should aspire to be. Ads don't have to be real life. They don't have to mirror real life. They're supposed to mirror what you should strive to be, what you should dream about being. Who dreams about being fat? You think the Mongols, when they conquered the known world, were fat? They had to ride on horses. They couldn't be fat. I like to see one of these Disney influencers, these Disney park influencers, ride a horse. They break the fucking thing in half and then probably eat it. It's like during the Olympic opening ceremony in France. They had a fat woman front and center. And I swear to God, hand to God, I thought some of the African athletes were going to try and eat her. I thought they were going to hunt her and eat her. People coming from Africa, they don't have much food. They might hunt her right there in the Olympic Village, skewer her, and cook her over a fire and eat her. They might have thought she was a wildebeest. They might have thought she was a water buffalo. And they might have tried to eat her, and I wouldn't have blamed them. I'd say, you know what, I can understand that. You come from an area of great famine. You see this fat white lady, and you think, that's a lot of calories. Who could blame them? I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't blame them, I don't think. I guess I could understand it. But how dystopian of a world do we live in that in these first world countries, in Europe, in America, in Canada, and Australia, people are fighting for body positivity. They're fighting for the right to be morbidly obese and eat and eat and eat. And then people are starving to death in Africa. You ever thought about how dystopian that is? That is crazy. That we've how have we allowed these people to even let this be a conversation? So yeah, I'm very pro the presidential fitness exam coming back. Because something needs to be done about these overweight, overflowing hippos we have walking around American society. It's gross. Tighten up. And you're going to tell me I'm some kind of fascist because I don't like looking at a fat person. What are you talking about? You're spilling over yourself. You have a fupa. That's gross. Our next story comes from the world of Hollywood. More specifically, the new Fantastic Four movie starring Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal. Now, a lot of people are in uproar because of their conduct on the press tour. If you haven't seen it, they've been very touchy-feely, rubbing noses, kind of groping each other during interviews, blatantly groping each other. And all this is an affair. They're just hooking up behind their partner's back. It's no big deal, really. It's just a cheating scandal. Happens all the time. But for them to be so brazen and public about it is what really gets people riled up. These people are obviously fucking. They're obviously doing it raw. I'm sure I'll put some pictures on the screen, but there's no way you can possibly look at this and think that these people aren't fucking. And I really feel for my man Paul Rabel. I'm a lacrosse guy, grew up playing the sport. Paul Rabel, lacrosse legend, married to Vanessa Kirby. She's having his baby. And his wife is just obviously fucking this guy. She's obviously just fucking Pedro Pascal. Like, they're obviously getting it on, probably on set. Their director probably has a couple, like, they probably had a couple scenes short because it turned into a full-on porno on set. And people are saying that Pedro Pascal just has anxiety. He needs to be touching people to calm. What are you talking about? And this is the first time I've ever seen him just groping somebody. What do you mean he has anxiety? He's groping this lady and she's groping him right back. They are feeling each other up. They're about to get it on during the interview. Every interview they do, they're just like, it's softcore porn. It's literally softcore porn. It's like, it looks like something I would jerk off to before I discovered Pornhub. That's what these people are doing in interviews. And I haven't seen the new Fantastic Four. Maybe it's great. Is there a sex scene? I'd imagine there has to be. Right? If they're having, like, basically having sex in public, there has to be a sex scene in the movie at least. How are people writing this off as anxiety? These people are fucking. They're having an affair on national TV. You know, this is going to be an HBO or Netflix documentary in 3 years. This is going to be a huge scandal about how these people are actually having an affair. And all the white women are going to be shocked. They're going to watch this at home while they sip a glass of wine and eat a handful of almonds. And they're going to say, "Oh my God, can you believe she would do that? Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't believe they would do that." That's what these trophy wives do. They drink glasses of wine and they eat almonds. And they listen to celebrity gossip and murder mystery all day. These are the type of women that watch like podcasts about true crime. They watch true crime podcasts. Specifically about the Idaho student murders. And they go, "Oh, I think he did it. Oh, I knew he did it. Oh, I'm so smart. I knew it. Or they'll watch a story about a fair. Like, this is how all these podcasts go. Welcome back to the Creeps and Crawlies podcast. Today, we have a really horrifying story. A belligerent ex-husband murders his cheating wife. Or did he? And the mom is just sitting there. Maybe she's doing a little bit of Valium, eating some almonds, high on a little bit of cyanide from the almonds. A little bit drunk off her half bottle of rosé she's drank. It's noon. And she's like, oh, I bet you it was the boyfriend, the secret boyfriend. And then it'll come out that the ex-husband was actually the one who did it. And she'll go, I called it. I knew it. I knew it was him. That's how these people are. And that's with this story, this Fantastic Four drama. This story is going to be a documentary in 3 years. And white moms, white stay-at-home moms who are bored, who just fantasize about fucking the pool boy, they are going to eat it up. It's going to be Netflix's #1 hit. They're going to love it. But what do I know? It's not like I can see the future. I just drink and I know things. I drink and I know things. Next story comes from New York City, and no, it has nothing to do with the fact that Bin Laden is going to be the next mayor of New York, even though Bin Laden bombed the towers about 20 years ago. Now he's running for mayor. People talk about Trump's political comeback. Let's talk about Bin Laden's political comeback. This guy's had one for the ages. The same city he committed a terrorist attack against, he's now running for mayor, and he's the favorite. There was a mass shooting in New York City this past week. People originally thought it was targeting the NFL headquarters. It wasn't. The Blackstone real estate CEO was a target, and she was unfortunately killed. Blackstone Real Estate, a subsidiary of Blackstone, one of the largest hedge funds in the world, has been buying up single-family homes and renting them to Americans. I mean, this is kind of just what happens when you rob people's futures from them. When you buy up single-family homes and then tell them they will rent and own nothing, they want to kill you. It's not that complex of a situation, in all honesty. I feel terrible for the victims, but you would think that people who have money would be smarter. They would realize, hey, they already killed the United Healthcare CEO. Maybe we should be less evil. But they have decided to not become less evil. Instead, they've just continued being evil. And I kind of sympathize with how evil people with money are. Because I know if I had some money, I'd be evil too. What's the point of having money if you're not going to be evil? Let's just be honest here. I'd switch up on my day ones. I'd be evil. And I would laugh like I had money. I would do the money guy laugh. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Poison that river in Zambia. Ha 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 ha. Commit a genocide in sub-Saharan Africa. Ha 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 ha. Kill that whistleblower. That is the life of rich people. They go to these dinner parties, these white tie affairs, these cocktail parties, and they laugh like they don't have a care in the world. And then they order the murder of people in the third world. How many people do you think Jeff Bezos has killed in China? How many people have killed themselves at Amazon factories in China? I'd wager a lot. I'd wager a lot. And you think Jeff Bezos cares? Nope. Married a whore. Doesn't care. Married a woman made of plastic. He does not care. Ha 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 ha. Closed down the streets in Venice for my $55 million wedding. He bought this woman Vogue magazine as a wedding present. That's who these rich people are. They're so detached from reality. Rich people used to be cool. They used to do cool stuff. The Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, they built railways. That's pretty cool. JP Morgan was lending people money. It's pretty cool, helping people get homes. Jeff Bezos delivers dildos to your front door. Don't love that so much. And there is a whore. Don't love that so much. Did John D. Rockefeller marry a whore? Did Vanderbilt? Cornelius Vanderbilt? I don't think he did. These are the men who built America. And now Jeff... The problem with these rich people is they don't care about a country. They don't belong to a country. Same like this Blackstone lady that got shot. And I feel sorry for her family. She had a husband, she had kids. And I don't feel good about her dying. But she was not a good person. These people don't care about America. They don't care about you or me. They don't care about the people living in America. We're just numbers. Yeah, buy that home, rent it out. We'll make so much money. They don't care. Rich people used to be behind the shadows, and they would at least somewhat care about America. They would build us railroads, build us museums. Rich people gave most of our museums to us. A lot of people don't realize that. The Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies built a lot of our museums. They don't do that anymore. Rich people don't, they're just evil. They used to be evil and pretend like they're not. They've completely got rid of the pretending to be good people aspect of having money. Now they just fuck us over and laugh at us. How long do they expect us to tolerate that? I find it deranged that people are shocked that things are not good in America. Nobody can buy a home and raise their family. Things aren't good, and you're not expecting violence to come of that. You have a young population of men who see no hope in the future. They don't see any avenue to having a better life. And you're expecting them to sit idly by? You're not expecting any violence to arise from that? They're crazy if they don't expect any pushback. And you know whose fault this actually is? The federal governments. They've done nothing. The government is supposed to be the arm of the people to fight rich corruption. They don't do that. They used to legislate. They used to crack down on monopolies. They don't do that anymore. What happened? Oh, these 80-year-olds in Congress are like, murderer! Murderer! They killed a CEO. This is uncalled for. Hello? We want to own homes. Can you give us a bill that stops private ownership of single-family homes? What are you doing? Stop these companies from buying single-family homes, please. Dear God, I want to own a home one day. It's ridiculous. They don't solve the problems, and then they get mad at us for getting mad at the problems. Hello, we elected you to solve the problems. Solve them. Our final story comes from across the Atlantic in Ireland and by extension all of Europe as riots continue to break out over mass immigration. The people of Ireland are upset because they are being replaced in their own country. It is projected they will be a minority. The white Irish people will be a minority to a Muslim majority in the next 10 years. And they are not happy about it because their government is not stopping immigration. I don't know what these European governments think is going to happen. If we just look at Britain in a microcosm, Britain once ruled like the entire world. Sun never set on the British Empire. They ruled territories in the Middle East, in Africa, in India, in Australia, in Canada, the colonies in America. That doesn't leave the British psyche. 80% of the human genome is in your brain. The people of Britain don't forget who they once were. And if you expect them to just accept mass immigration and do nothing as these people rape, murder British civilians, you are ridiculous and you have no understanding of how humanity actually works. These people don't forget who they once were. They do not forget what they were once capable of. They remember that they once ruled the seas. They were once the mighty British Empire and the sun never set on them. And you expect these people to roll over and allow you to pump them full of mass immigration? And it's not like America, I understand immigration to America because nobody besides the Native Americans is native to America. So I understand allowing immigration to America. But Great Britain is the national home of these English people. It has been their home for millennia. They were there before the Roman Empire existed. They were there after the Romans. They were there before the British Empire. They were there after. These people have lived there for millennia. This is their home. There is no, we're all colonizers. We're all immigrants. You cannot use that argument in Europe. Europe is the home of these Irish people. That is their land. For centuries and centuries, it has been their land. Same with the British people. And you cannot expect them to allow unchecked immigration forever. If you expect that with no uprisings, no social repercussions, you are an idiot. These people have been there since the earth existed, pretty much. Since humanity was a thing, Brits and Anglo-Saxons have lived in Great Britain. Irish have lived in Ireland. Scots have lived in Scotland. Welsh have lived in Wales. The French have lived in France. The Germans have lived in Germany. And you expect these people, what argument is there that they have to accept mass immigration? There is none. It is their home. Where have the Irish even the Irish have never colonized any other part of the entire world. All they have done is fought for their tiny island for centuries and centuries against British rule. The Irish people have never colonized the Americas. They never colonized anywhere in Africa. They never colonized the East. The Irish people have only ever been in Ireland. And you are going to displace them with foreign migrants and expect them to roll over and allow that? You're an idiot. That is a ridiculous assumption. Ireland is the home of the Irish. It will always be Irish. You cannot expect these people to just welcome in hordes and hordes of migrants while things get worse and worse for them. I do not fault the Irish people for uprising. In fact, I'm on their side. Things need to change. Same with Great Britain. The Brits have always lived in Britain. That is their ancestral home. They do not have there's no hypocrisy. Like a white American saying, we don't want immigrants, is utter hypocrisy because he was once an immigrant. But there is none of that hypocrisy in Great Britain or Ireland. Absolutely none. These people have lived there for decades and decades and decades and decades. You cannot expect them to give up their home without a fight.